Bring back summer. It's coming.
Break out the Ugg boots, I say. Thanks, Natalia. Now, many of our public schools are already full to the brim, with students jostling for places in some pretty packed classrooms. And now the number of international students enrolled in primary and high schools is skyrocketing. Weekend Today reporter Jessica Tancred reports on how it's affecting your child's future.
It's good to have foreign students coming here to our primary secondary schools, but we really do need to worry about the impact that will have on local students.
Students from predominantly Asian countries are flocking here in their thousands, cramming our classrooms. Experts say they're putting teachers under pressure and your child's ability to learn at risk.
If you have a school that's very popular, the enrolments are high, then really it should be the priority to get local kids in rather than kids from overseas.
Lila Mularczyk has been a principal for more than 14 years and is head of the New South Wales Principals Council.
There has been a significant increase in the number of international students over the last few years.
There are some areas I know in Melbourne where Asian enrolments in schools can be up to 70 or 80%. And to me, that does suggest there is an issue here about local kids who were born here, Anglo-Saxon kids or Italian or Greek kids who are missing out. I think that is an issue.
A recent report from the Australian Council for Educational Research warned New South Wales will need an extra 386 primary school classrooms every year for the next decade to cope with the boom. The highest international enrolments falling in Ultimo, Macquarie Park, Tamworth, Coffs Harbour, Dubbo and Wagga. In Victoria, the number of foreign students has jumped 12% in 12 months, with enrolment highest in Keysborough, Brighton, Doncaster, Northcote and Elwood. And in Queensland, international enrolments are up 20% from last year, with foreign students seemingly all over the state. According to the Department of Education, the majority of international students attend schools in metropolitan Brisbane, tropical North Queensland, the Sunshine Coast or the Gold Coast. President of the Northern Sydney Region P&C Steph Croft released an issue paper on overcrowding. She says the situation is at crisis point.
Quite a number of our schools have reached extreme capacity level. That means they've got no more room for any more demountables. Often they've got demountables all over their oval and the play space has gone. We've had schools where the government's had to move walls and create new classrooms by turning 2 classrooms into 3, so the situation is quite critical.
How are schools dealing with the issue of overcrowding?
A number of our schools have had to introduce a range of options to deal with the large numbers of students they've got now. So, for example, they have staggered morning teas and lunch times so that infants are out at one time and primary are out at other time. There's restricted play areas. Some schools don't allow running because it's just too dangerous with the number of students that they've got in the playgrounds now.
Education expert Kevin Donnelly says it's not just affecting lunchtime, but also your child's results, because teachers are being stretched.
There are a number of issues with having foreign students in a school. One would be their language ability. They need to be familiar with the language. They also need to be able to read and write to a level required, certainly at year 11 and 12, that can be quite difficult. So what we don't want are these students coming here and putting more pressure on teachers because they don't have the resources.
But Kevin adds having international students does have its advantages.
Native-born students, Australian students, often don't do as well academically. So I could see one reason why a school would like to have a number of Asian students is because it will improve their Year 12 results.
Not to mention boosting a school's performance on the My School website. Foreign students can pay up to $14,000 to attend a state school, while a private school will charge international students as much as $40,000 a year.
The money is good, and I can see why that's an added incentive to enrol these young kids. But we need to be careful, because if we're lowering standards because of the problems they have with English, then that's an issue that has to be addressed. A number of academics anecdotally talk about the pressure they're under to pass these students because, as I say, they are an important part of the finances At school, for example, they could be paying $10,000 to $15,000.
But the president of the New South Wales Principal Council says no matter how good the money is, no local student will ever miss out on a place at a state school.
Policy clearly states that they wouldn't be taking the position of a local person and if a local enrolment, and if there wasn't enough room it would be negotiated at the nearest next school.
But the issue still remains. More students means more work for teachers, and with a growing population, overcrowding in our classrooms is only going to get worse.
There needs to be government oversight to make sure, no matter how much it might be worth financially to have these students, that we don't have unintended consequences.